So welcome everyone to this stream on content collection. I think this is our third/fourth stream it's the fourth in the series and is the third one where we are talking about Astro, because the first one, which we did during our Kickstarter, was just on Git and GitHub. But yeah, this is the fourth stream. I'm not gonna go on a very long intro because at this point you probably know who I am. Again, call me Miss Boba. I work to make web development accessible to hobbyists and bring forth a new era of smaller internet website and internet communities. You can find all the links at the bottom, including my Patreon and other ways to support me if you want to help me continue doing this. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about Astro content collection, which are probably my favorite Astro feature. They're just great. You'll hear me rant a lot about how great they are during the stream, but in particular, the reason I like them is that they make creating collections of similarly structured content extremely easy. Example of things I can help with is you can think blog post, a series of recipes, and in our case, a series of character card and the authors, like the artists that help us create these characters. The way they make this simple is that not only they give you a way to get and display all the entries within a collection, but they also make sure that the structure of the files in your collection matches the way that you expect them to be. So for example, assume that you have a blog post and you want to make sure that all your blog posts have a title, maybe some tags, a category, and you might want to be like, I have 5 categories and these are all the categories and I want only these. Astro allows you to specify your desires for your content files, and then it will let you know if for some reason the file you just created is not respecting it. So instead of, publishing your website and then realizing that you forgot to add a title to your blog post and now everything is broken, you get that immediate feedback from Astro that tells you, wait a minute, a title is supposed to be here. I'm gonna post in the chat the link to content collections in case you wanna take a look while we do it. Well, I do. Wait, send a minute. Are you not letting me pay? Oh, got it. Sorry. There. In case you wanna take a look while we do a little bit of other things before that. Because one thing I realized as I went to prepare for this stream is that we left off last time without actually pushing our changes to production, as they say. Like, they're not visible to anyone but us. And so we should do that. We should do that before we continue so that we can build up on what we have built. So now, first thing, I am going to show you where we were. Oh, please, and obviously remember to yell at me if I use the wrong window. Haven't figured out how to make this, actually change as automatically. Don't know if it's even possible. Anyway, last time I have started. I'm gonna start the development version of the website we were working on last time. You can see here from this bit in my terminal that we were doing. We are in the componentization brand branch, and we were like working on making all our website have components. Now that I have started it, we can go to the browser and we can put the localhost address in here, and you can see that we have some cute links with characters about us, and obviously our home. Now, get me browser back. The reason that we hadn't published this is because these pages were just empty. And so, you know, that's not the greatest look. While I was offline, instead I took this beautiful work in progress Bobaton that we used in the zine, and just put it here. And so if we now go to FujoWeb.dev, see, this is still the one page version that we had. But with the new edition, yeah, we can absolutely publish this. So back to the code. One thing that I wanna show you is, let me get the terminal full screen. So if I go to git log, you can see that the brand, like my code on GitHub, so its origin componentization is at this last commit where I added a single line. I made the header be able to be in a single line, while the head, which is where I currently am in my terminal, has 2 more commits. One to add the work in progress images on the pages, and one to add some inline padding. So to show you now what changes I've made, I want to show you this other command, which is git diff. And git diff takes in input 2 things: the commit, where you want to start seeing the difference, and the commit where you want to stop. So basically you have 2 options. One is the base, and one is what to compare it with. And in this case, I said I have 2 changes. I made 2 commits, so I want to do head tilde 2. This means 2 previous commits starting from head, which reminder is where I meant. Then dot for many commits, like, I don't know, it makes sense as a syntax, but just like in my brain. And then head, which is where I'm currently at. So this is saying I want the difference between 2 commits before where I'm at and the commit where I'm at. So when I run this command, you can see this kind of complicated output. It's not like the best way of it. It's not great, but if you know how to read it, it can tell you a lot. So here, let's see. So here it says we're diffing page layout.astro with page layout.astro, making it a little bit bigger. And then as you go, you can see the green bits. So the green bits are what exist in the latest commit, so what I have in my head that did not exist in the previous commit. So I added this padding inline, and then on page about us, I imported the Boba Whip image, and then I created this, I put it in the HTML with a under construction image. I added some styling, and you can just like go through it and see what changed. As I said, the green are the additions, but the red are the things that I removed. So to be done, this paragraph, that's gone, and now it's replaced with this image and div. So that is all. That's just how it's useful. I hope this is just something nice to know. So I am now going to push this. Where are you? Code. There you are. I am now going to push my changes. these are now on GitHub. Sorry, Ellen has a question. Is importing the image the command line equivalent of upload in a web-based interface like NeoCities, so that Astro becomes aware of the file? Does it copy it into a directory somewhere? Let me explain that before I go doing the pull request. So, how importing works. Can I just close this? I probably can close this. So let's go to a page. Where are you, page? Characters. So you can see here that it's importing this Boba Whip image from, set aside, this is like, each of these is the folder above the one I'm in. So I'm currently in src pages, characters.astro, and I need to go back up to the main folder. So this is like from the main folder, go with the public images and bobawhip.png. So it's not looking at the location for your hosting. This is just the version on my computer. It's not really much to do with how it's structured when I build the website, but I'll show you in a second. So here I'm importing that image from the images file, and you know, just do that. And then what Astro does is it will give me the src, the source address for it, so that I can show it in here. So for example, if I add a console.log Boba Whip in here, and then I look again, instead of public images Boba Whip, use images Boba Whip. Sorry, I did not know that. And then I go characters, should give me, yeah. So it's telling me that that's going to become public images Boba Whip, and then you don't have to encode, like as you're saying, you don't have to encode the full path each time. It just looks at that. I do wonder, actually, I do not know. First of all, it's telling me, I do not know what happens if this image doesn't exist. Oh, it's just doing it. I believe there is a way to get errors, but you know, I'll let you know. I'll try to figure that part out. For now, it's just getting the address for me. And files in the public directory are served at the root path. Okay, not gonna go there. I slightly messed up how to do this. What happens if I build? That's a good question. Let's double check. So as a reminder, the dev command will just start on my local environment preview of the website, and all the changes I make will be automatically shown as soon as I save. While building is going to go through all the pages, all the code that I've written, will make all the calculations, and will give me a final HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images version of my website that I can just take and put on whatever hosting website I want, including NeoCities. So if I do yarn run build, okay, that's good to know. You cannot do what I've done. It's going to yell at you. So let me try one thing. This is what I get for not for doing this without testing it, I guess. Let's put the images within our src folder instead of the public folder. The public folder is a special folder where you can put your images, like any file, and it will be accessible as a special file in your final website. But if I put the image within my SRC folder, then it's a bit more code-like way of doing that. And it should allow me to do what I've been trying to do actually. So moving Boba Whip to images. And now here in About Us, I will import it from images. That is, I think, one level above ours. Does this work? One of the things I hate most about, like, you know, just web, like sometimes doing these things, it's when it works differently in production and in development. And like in development, it lets you do it. But in production, it's like, no, you cannot do it. And I get beaten by that a lot. Okay, so this was the About Us page that I just changed. And indeed, it is working. And then the characters page, now there is nothing in our public directory. And so we can remove this bit and use this address of the file within pages. As you can see, now it's not yelling at, as you can see now, it's not yelling at me anymore about the files in the public directory, because that's a special directory. And so clearly I couldn't do what I was doing. Yeah, I'm like, I guess it's also, like, I guess you could let me know this was gonna be an error. I didn't really try it. So, one thing I wanna see, what happens if I do an image that does not exist? Are you gonna let me know? No, it doesn't work. It works for files, but not for images. But let's try building now. Okay, now the building works, and let's go see in our dist folder. As a reminder, we have all the files have been built, and so now we have actual HTML within here, and it has put the image within this _astro folder. And so in _astro, yeah, here is the image that's transparent. But the images that are in public instead, those are in an images folder. See, so there's two types of images. The one that we put in our source, and they get a special address that is in this _astro folder, and then there are those in the public folder, and those are just going to be available at the root of your website under images. So if you, let's say if you need a static address for your image, like you want to link it to someone very often, then the public folder is the right place. But if you just want that image to be very tied up with your content and be able to do the SRC import as I was doing, that will, then you can do it this way. Let me try the last thing, and then it's where we'll get to the point. I wonder if it's going to yell at me if the image does not exist when I build. It does not do it while I'm writing the code, but will you tell me? Haha, see? Now it's telling me that the image does not exist. PC is saying, I'll have to play around with this a bit. I think so far I've just got my images in an images folder in public. Yeah, there's different ways of doing that. It's, you know, I was going for the lazy way and I didn't want to create an image folder. And I was just like, I'm gonna do it this way, but put it in public. And it does not work. But see, this tells you, the usefulness of this is that it tells you that the image is not there when you go build, not at development time, but when you go build. And I think if you actually go in index.astro, we have some images in the public folder. So here, this roster with name. And I think if you actually don't like create an image that does not exist there, I don't know if it yells at you. Let's try. See, it lets you do it. So that's the difference, and that's why I like importing images, but not from the public folder. That has to be under SRC. Anyway, here is my status after all my changes with the with Git. I'm gonna add everything, and you can see I have a new file. I don't know, it keeps creating this file. I don't know why. I'm just gonna let it do it. I renamed, well, I moved the image from the public to the SRC images, and then I modify about us and characters, and then I commit, and I'll just say fix my images mistakes. So now we push again, and now it's pull request time. Browser, going back to here, I have the fork of the original FujoWebDev repository. The componentization branch adds some updates, so I can do compare and pull request, and then I am going to be asking the FujoWebDev repository here, FujoWebDev, to put my essential randomness FujoWebDev componentization branch on their main branch. So they're gonna merge all the changes. Let's give it a good name. Let's say added components for layout and a better navigation bar. And then in the comment I'm gonna say I also created 2 new pages, characters for our character roster. Let me make this bigger. And team, how did I call it? About us for our collaborators. I'm gonna assign it to Leah, and then I'm gonna create a pull request. And now, once Leah approves it, this will automatically go to our website. In the meantime, Ellen says, it somehow never occurred to me that I could have a development environment that checked my code for errors instead of just letting me hand code and break my website. Oops, this rules. I know, it's really hard to go back once you move to something like this. It's literally like a better world is possible. And that's part of doing this, really. It's just, I see so many passionate people doing websites by hand, which is fine, it's great, like you can do it. It's how we all kind of started, but there are really better ways these days. Astro is incredibly intuitive, and I don't have to tell you, like some of you have made the switch thanks to me, and because I've been peddling this for a while. But like, the ability to know that your code is correct, the ability to move things in components, and especially the ability to, the ability to know all this, and like even content collections, it just means that you can do so much more with your time. Like we're hobbyists, we're talking like about hobbyists here, so you have limited time, and you really do not want to use that time and debugging errors that a software like Astro could help you catch. Repeating the same code over and over in pages, like it's really important, I think, to show people how to do this, because if you have a good experience building your website, if you don't get bogged down by avoidable errors, then you're more likely to continue building it, and you're more likely to get better and better and like more ambitious with what you're doing. So yeah, my hope is that by showing how cool this is, we get not only more websites by hobbyists, but also more grandiose websites by them. Leah says, I completed the review, but the permissions are still wrong, so I can't merge. I will give you the permissions at some point. Please remind me. So, okay, approve these changes. Oh, sorry. Also, because we are using Vercel, as a reminder, it gives us previews for our website. So I can click preview, and here we'll see how the website will look. This is a special, how do I show the address here? This is a special address that's just made to show the preview of this fork. So we can test it, we can look at it, make sure that it looks correct, and then now I can merge, because Leah approved my changes but couldn't merge because I haven't given permissions for it. Okay, you are all set, and I can delete my branch because I don't need it anymore. Now in a little bit, this website, which is the main version, will have updated here. Here it is, already done. Okay, let me catch up with the chat and then we'll go finally to what we're here to do. Ellen says, building my site has stalled out because I'm doing very non-ambitious baby time for baby stuff instead of being able to devote energy to writing actual content. Yeah, I understand. I very much understand. And I do think, like, you know, paradoxically, sometimes people are like, oh, you need to start with writing your website, like file by file, by hand, in pure HTML. And, you know, people like doing things in different way. Maybe that works best for people. But in my humble opinion, I think that even just starting with something like Astro, it's going to make growing your website a lot easier. You'll have to learn a bit more things all at the same time. But if you have a base understanding of HTML, CSS, this is going to be good. And you'll see how content collections can make like authoring content for your website even more of a pleasure than it already is with a static site generator. So let's get to explain how this works. So first, we don't need the browser. Let's go just with VS Code. Okay, so first of all, we should move away from the componentization branch. Next time I should name it something less hard to say. So let's check out main. Let's log. So that's origin main. Oh, interesting. We have something in origin that we do not have in upstream. It's okay. Do we? Well, git rebase upstream main. And now if I've done things correctly, oh, no, I need to pull first. Git pull. And this should download all the... Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I don't usually do this thing, so I'm like, I'm trying to remember how this is done. Git fetch upstream, right? Okay, and then now we got the data that it's in the upstream, and now if I rebase on the upstream, oh wait, first git log. Okay, it doesn't show upstream, but if I rebase on the upstream, now I should have everything. Yes, fix my images mistake is the is now the correct how do you call it? The correct commit is actually the latest commit. You can see I haven't written the chapter on pull request on the guide, so because I forget how it's done, but this is how it's done. First you fetch the remote, which is upstream, and then we'll give you all the changes that the remote has that you don't have, and then you can rebase and basically bring them where you're at and where the remote branch is at in the same place. So code is here, and now I can create a new branch, which this time we're gonna call character cards. Okay, so switch to a new branch. And so now the first thing I want to do is I want to just create a component for the character cards, and we are not going to style it. I just literally want a component to show how content collections can be used. So character card, and then we do div, and then we do this is a character card. So now we go on a characters page, and instead of this under construction, we put a character card. We get error because we haven't imported it yet. And so here, components character card.astro, and we call this character card. Okay, now it's imported. We can also remove this work in progress because we don't have it anymore. We don't need this style. I have saved it. Let me go with bot. Do I have this started? I don't think so. Start the development server. And then go on my browser and go there. Okay, character. So this is a character card. There is nothing in the character card, just the text, but just putting it here so people can see that our component is working. Now, next bit, and as a reminder, we are doing characters cards that are in our Kickstarter. So let me get it back. Let me actually open one here. This bit, this thing is what we're doing. So we have a couple sections. We have a like section, a dislike section, about him, main tropes, and trivia. So let's start thinking about how our characters card, like the data structure, what data do we need? So as you can remember, there is these props that we are going to write. Props are all the various properties or attributes that we want our component to get. So here, as I said, we had what were you? Let's say likes, and likes is a series of text, so a string array. That's what the coding term is. And then a dislikes, so that's also a string array. Then we have about him. Well, let's call it just about, and this is just regular text, so I'll make it a string. And then tropes, another list of strings, and then trivia is a string. Okay, so now that we have these props, and as a reminder, this bit is TypeScript code, which is a version of JavaScript that allows you to type variables. To explain it in a few words, this means that this means that when you go use these variables in your code, the VS Code, whoever is analyzing that code, can let you know if you are getting the variables wrong. For example, that name of that variable does not exist. You are giving a number to a variable that's supposed to be a text, or maybe you're passing text to dislikes when it's supposed to be a list. You can know before you make a mistake and publish your website with an error. This is helping you know what you can do. Alan says this is awesome. Is it still going to use a command as a delimiter for the string array? And what is the benefits of setting it up as an array? instead of just using it as a sentence with commas. Or is just to let us have bullet points here without invoking UL. I'll show you how we're gonna do this in a second for the UL, but the advantage is, you know, if you, well, first of all, there is syntax for this, you know, it's built into the language, and so if it's built into the language, it's just easier. You know, you can reason about it. You know that it's a list, and then it's like, oh, I don't have to go split on the comma. I can just go through the list using all the code tricks that list allow me to do. But then even if you were splitting on a comma, like, you can totally do it. But what if one of the likes ends up having a comma? Like right now you don't have that problem, but what if? So, you know, you can do things in a lot of ways, but some ways have less pitfalls than other. And if you can structure this in a way that, you know, I want to say makes sense, but like kind of fits how the language wants you to think more, then it's better to do it. And, you know, some of that you get an intuition for, damn, sorry, there's noise outside. You get an intuition for as you code more and more. But yeah, that's just it. Showing you now that I have done the interface here, characters.astro, now character card as the wiggles, and it's telling me the errors take a little bit to get used to, but it's just telling you it's missing the following properties from type props. Oh, go away browser. Yeah, opposite of go away browser. Is missing the following properties from type props: likes, dislikes, about, tropes, and trivia. So just telling us this character card is supposed to have some data that you haven't given me. So let's start doing that. And you see, I also get completion, which is great. So here, the array of string, remember, so we are gonna make an array, which is just this square brackets, and then we're gonna do, what does Git like? I forget. Git, what do you like? Oh wait, I have a very useful, like, we prepared this, so I can copy and paste. But I don't wanna copy and paste it all. So we have, he likes to gossip, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, he likes to gossip, he likes junk food, and he likes people's attention. Don't we all? And then he dislikes, again, an array, physical exercise, very relatable, desserts, way less relatable, and GitHub's attention. Okay. Then we have about, and this is just a string, so we can copy and paste it that way. And then we have, oh, it's actually more than one line. I'll get to that in a second. Let me just say tropes is also an array. See, if I just copy and paste this, like as it is, as a string, it's going to give me a wiggle here and says type string is not assignable to type string array. And so it's reminding me that this is actually needs more than, like, it's not just text, it needs a series of texts. So I get helpfully corrected, and now I can do this. Okay. And then we're missing trivia. And there it is. So now the character card has no wiggle anymore. This is correct. Ellen says, would you have to use curly quotes if you wanted quotation marks within there? I'm assuming, like you mean if, I guess it depends what you mean with quotation marks. Well, not really what you mean, but like, yeah, if I want the curly quotes, I could use the curly quotes, but and that would work out of the box. If I wanted like the regular quotes, the one you have on your just keyboard, there's two ways, because as you see, if I put it in the middle, then the string is not closed. Like, what is this? It can't interpret it. So there's two ways. One way is to escape it, which you always do with the well, in most programming languages you do with the backslash. Wait, do you have the what? Oh, because it's not code. Okay, 1 second, sorry, I'll explain why. 1 second. And now if I do this, yes, it should work. Or you do the single quotes, and then you don't need to escape it. One trick, since I added these curly brackets, and you might be like, what the fuck? You know, what was that? Small syntax thing. When you only have these quotes like this, like here in about, that's the same syntax as you would in HTML. But if you want to write something that's not HTML but it actually code, like arrays, or like I don't know, add a variable, do some things, then you need to have these curly braces, because that's basically telling Astro actually the content of this attribute is code. It's not just like a regular HTML attribute. So that's the difference, and that's why the the escaping didn't work on the string, because that's not a thing in HTML, that's a thing in code. But you don't, like, you know, if you want, you can just put them here. It's not going to make a difference when it's just a thing. I just didn't put them. Okay, now we have that, so let's quickly go to actually display this content, so we can how do you call it? So we can then go to content collection. Leah says, you could also do HTML encoding or Unix encoding, right, for special characters? I think so. I'm pretty sure this will just automatically display it as the HTML escaped characters. And I'm going to show you how to, you know, shouldn't it do it because you need to like make the string be HTML? I'll show you how to do it later, but we can test it. So characters card. Now we want to get all the nice, okay, sorry, I couldn't use my keyboard all of a sudden. We want to get all our nice variable out of these props. So we do astro.props, which is where Astro puts all the values that we've passed. And we are going to write our variables names here, so that we have them all available in code. Now look at this. This is advanced trick with multi-line cursor. I've copied all the lines, and now I paste them all in one bit. And now I can select them all again, go to the end, put a comma, save. There it is. Multi-line cursor magic. So now in this character card, we now want to have let's say a like section, let's say this is, we didn't put the character name, you know, I just realized. So now characters.astro is missing the name, and its name is get. And then, so now we can have, let's say this is going to be a header, and this is gonna be, remember the curly braces say I'm gonna write code, so I'm gonna write code, and the code is, oh, the name variables, which does not exist, it's the name. And then we are gonna do a list, which is the likes list. And here, small trick, because this is an array, we can say for every element in this array, print HTML code. How we do it? With a JavaScript method called map. And so we do likes.map. And then for each like, we print only with the like inside. Should probably do a stream on like these methods to help people that want to learn how to use them. But you know, you can copy this code. Like you can do so much with just copying this code and you know, using it. Let's put this in a H3, then we say likes, and then let's do, whoop, I have accidentally hit the wrong button, dislikes. Maybe I'll put it in sections. I don't know that section is the right one, but let's do with section, or maybe div. Let's not be too. I would kind of want to have this be an article. Each one of them are like their own article. Div, and then a dislikes div, I'm just gonna copy. And instead of likes, we're gonna use dislikes, and then this dislike. What else do we have? We have another div which is about him, and then this one as the text, which is about. You can see in the meantime that the Astro website on the bottom right is like, what is going on? This is all wrong, because it is all wrong. Well, there is errors in my code. And then we have tropes and trivia. So we have div, and we have tropes is also a list, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it. Tropes, and then here trope. And then the last one, it just says the trivia there. And now, if we go look at our character card, here it is. Yeah, that's it. All the information. Let me go in the browser. All the information about Git. Does it? You know, does it look good? It does not. What have I done? Leah says you need to update the leaf for dislikes. Why is dislikes done this way? Let's go figure it out. Oh, I put dislikes instead of dislike. You are so right. Yes, now it's good. Yeah, the dislikes is accidentally plural. If I were paying attention, I would have noticed, because this dislike here is a it says dislike is declared, but its value is never read. And if you look at it, it's slightly less colorful. I can set up my TypeScript code so that it should show me the error. I don't know, it says it's an error, but it doesn't tell me. It's okay. We can do better, and we'll fix the setup at some point. Okay, but since we are at it, let's get also the images which I have prepared. So now we have all the character profiles images, and I'm gonna put them in our images folder. Just drop them all. And now we can add a new prop, which is image your src. Oh, sorry, I prefer this type of syntax, adding it here. And now we do I'm just gonna put it in here, img src equals image src slash. Obviously now we don't really have given it that, so image src, and then we can do the same thing we did with the image before, and we import git from image. Do you not like to give me images? It's giving components pages but not images. It's okay. Oh, now it does it. Characters profile git.png. And so now src we give git, and now we have a huge git in our page. Let's give just a little bit of styling to this so that git is not as as big. So we do style, and then we say emg, because that's the only image. And so remember, the when you have like components, your style will only be applied to the component itself. So I don't need to add the class to the images in here, because since there is only one image, I can just use the tag, which makes it much easier. And Astro will automatically fix this up for me. Like, make sure that only that card, that only the image within this card is affected by my code. So emg max height 400 pixels. Are you now it's smaller. And now I'm gonna do, trying to decide if I wanna let's not do styling. I kind of wanted to put them both on the same line, but that we're running slightly behind, so let's just get to this quickly. Yeah, so that's our character card, and now I can do a commit. This is a good time. I'm going to all the files that I've added, the component, the page, to my commit, and I'm gonna be doing created character card component. Actually, no, I'm gonna do one other thing. Sorry, because I wanna be a good Miss Boba. So right now I've added everything that I have in this commit, but no, I want to undo this. So I'm gonna restore all the files that I had staged, so that I had added for the commit, and so you can see now they've become red. And again, so now I want to just add to this commit the component that I have created. So I'm gonna use the actual path, and now only this one is changes to be committed, is within this section. It's, as they say, staged, and then I do git commit, and I say created character card component. So this commit is just gonna contain that change, and then I'm gonna add everything now and do a commit that says created git character card. And now I have no more changes, all are committed. I'm gonna push this to the character cards branch on my GitHub. So this is now here, and if I go to the website, to GitHub, give me 1 second, I'll show you. Where are you? Okay, I am browser, there you are. Browser, I go here, and now I have my characters card, and if I go to SRC, you can see I have all the character profiles images, and you know, they're all there. And obviously also my component. And if you want to look at it, I am pasting it in chat. There it is. So Ellen was saying, do we want to do pixels or percent? I'm not sure how the component interacts with how those options resize it on various platforms. It's exactly the same as HTML. The fact that it's a component doesn't change things. Like eventually when you go build your website, Astro will turn that in pure HTML and CSS, and it's going to forget everything about the fact that it had been a component. You know, I'm not doing the syntax right now, so I think having it as a fixed amount of pixels is fine. Cat, if you can hear. But yeah, you know, like we can there's many ways you can do this, and you know, they're all kind of, some are more correct than others, some are like just depend on what you're caring about. Okay, so now let's go to content collections finally. So as I was saying, content collections help you create a series of content that's all structured the same way. So in our characters card, for example, you might have seen, let me get the code again, you might have seen that we defined a special interface for each card, and that is really, that's the structure of our card. Each card that we make is going to have their name, is going to have their image, is going to have their likes and dislikes, blah, 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 blah. So obviously what I could do is I could go here on the characters page, copy all of this, and like do it for every character. And I could, you know, nothing is saying I can't, but there is a different way, which might be overkill for this case, but I'm gonna use it anyway. So that way is content collections. Where are you? I have a link. Oh, 1 second, that's not the right page. Here, there, the content collections. Pasting this again. So the content collections, the way they work is they are, you have to put them in within the SRC folder in a special content directory. And then this content directory will have a series of files, each of which, like a series of subfolders actually, each of which will contain a series of files in a specific collection within that folder. So in our case, I think this is slightly easier to show than to explain, but in our case, let's say we have this characters collection. Now we want to do a Git markdown file. And now what we want to be doing is we want to, in this markdown Git file, to have all the data that we have put in that character card. So for example, I don't know how familiar people are with Markdown, but Markdown files are often divided in two sections. And there is these sections that starts and ends with these dashes, and that's called the front matter section. You can add special data there, like usually in a blog post, the tags would be there, the title would be there, the date of publications would be there. It's just a very standard way of doing things. So I want my Markdown files to be structured something like, I'm gonna just get all of these and copy it there. So there's gonna be, I'm not gonna put the name here, we're gonna use the file as a name, the file name as the name. I'm gonna put the, I need to figure out how to do the image. Let's set the image aside right now. Let's go. We can have a likes, and then this is gonna be gossip, junk food, and people's attention. Then I can have a dislike sections, and this is gonna be, we're basically redoing what we were doing before. Trying to say, no, I have to copy this manually. So right now we're just putting everything in a Markdown file. And then there is an about. I think if you do it this way, you can just, and then we have tropes. You can probably, like, if you want guides on front matter, there are so many about, like, there are so many around on the syntax. This syntax in particular is called YAML. It's just one famous data format for code things. But it is basically defining things as we define them in the sorry, I want to put this here because I want to show you something. As we were describing them in the character card, it's just slightly different syntax. And if you're using things like Obsidian, you probably already have some files that are in this format. It's really good because you can use any Markdown authoring tools, and there are so many for this. So now we have created, basically taken all our data and just put it in the characters folder within content. And now I can do another one for GitHub. And let me do it quickly. Sorry, I missed. Where are you? Where is my characters thing? There you are. Just gonna change the likes and dislikes so we can see that's different, but other trick. There, done it all together. Can also do the, actually I found the way of doing it quickly, so I'm gonna do all the tropes too. And then about him, there's two sections. I'm gonna put them here. And then we are missing the I think we are missing the trivia section. It's okay. I can just put, this is where GitHub trivia goes. Okay, so as you can see, I'm gonna show, no, wait, I can't resize the window. Okay, this feels like it worked out. As you can see, when I put them side by side, these are just the same structure of the file. And so I could create this for all the characters, but I just wanted to show you how a content collection works. So once I have defined how I want the files in my collection to look like, I can go use Astro syntax for actually telling it that a new content collection is has been created. So within the content folder, I create, one second, what was your, okay, I'm just gonna copy their code, and that's a config.ts file. So I'm gonna create this config.ts file, and then I'm going to go line by line and do just what they tell me. Let's get this back to so first of all, we are going to oh, this is going to need me to restart my TypeScript because I've never used it before. But this is gonna be just, I'm importing a method that's called define collection. And then I am going to use that method to define my collection. Before I do that, let's try to remove this wiggle. Oh, and I've been given the GitHub trivia. Let me get the GitHub trivia. Put there. There you are. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's try to get this one to work. So I'm removing this, and I'm gonna do, maybe your run build will work. Maybe. Okay, that worked. It just needed to rerun its own code. Like Astro needed to run for VS Code to realize that yes, that thing exists. I think sometimes this works. I'm not 100% sure why it does, but that's my understanding. Yeah, it needed to marinate. It needed to be like, oh, what was I doing? Oh, yes, I do know what content collection is. Okay, so we need to define a content collection. And so we are going to do const characters collection. And then we're going to use the define collection method that we just imported. And we'll see in a second how that works. And then we're going to also export it so that Astro knows it's a thing. So you export const collection, and then we do characters, and then characters is our character collection. That's generally the syntax. You can find it on Astro websites. I just copy and paste it, I don't remember it. So what's this doing? So first of all, it's importing the define collection function from like Astro's built-in function. Then it's defining a collection, like calling the function to define a collection, and we'll see how that works in a second, like the configuration of it works. So now the character collection variable contains this configuration, and then it's saying it's exporting a variable named collections, and here it is collection name and collection configuration. So these collections variable just as a series of collection name, collection configuration pairs. So let's go define this collection. Now, this is actually going to be very, very similar to how we did the character cards. I'm gonna bring this in with me just so I can remember how we did it. This is gonna end up deleted, but Okay, so there are two types of collection. I'm not gonna go into them now. This is a content collection. It can be data or it can be content. I'm gonna do content for this one. I think the difference is we can have this little bit with our actual markdown file, while the other one has to be a different format, like either a YAML or a JSON file. And then it has a cool but maybe a bit obscure concept of a schema. So a schema, how do I explain schema? It's honestly similar to like interface here. It's just trying to describe our data, but not just as a type is actually a more abstract concept, while a schema is like usually when it runs. You know what? I should look up the definition of schema, because I realized I don't know 100% the difference. Schema versus type. The schemas are a set of type, each associated with a set of property. That means nothing to me. Types versus schema, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Just take it as something like a type. I would not be able to explain it, and it doesn't really matter. So, but schemas, there is a very, very cool library called Zod that is used to build schemas and validate them. So you can import this from Astro. Astro use this, and to use that, you just import this variable named Z. And Z allows you to write down the shape of your schema. So what does this mean? This means that all this data here, you can write the schema so that it knows what it should be, and it knows how to check that it's effectively in the right format. So here, first of all, we said it's an object. It's an object because when you have a lot of different properties all together, that's usually an object. That's how it is. This is always going to be the same. And then we can do every single property. So we can do likes, and we can say a likes is made of strings, just like we said in the props, and it is an array. Oh, why did you move? So likes is an array of strings. Don't move, like here, there. And then dislikes is also an array of string. Sorry. And then we have about, this is just a string. And then we have tropes, and this is again an array of strings. It's really just a different syntax to say what we were saying with the interface. It's not particularly different. What are we missing? Trivia, which is a string. And I don't think we need, well, we theoretically need the image, but I need to remember how to import it. I don't know that I can. I think I can only put it in the public folder. Let me do that. Gonna move the characters profiles in the public folder. There may be a way of doing it, but I'll let you know next time, because I don't want to go to the rabbit hole, and there is another technology I will need to explain. So here we are gonna say this is just gonna be characters. Let me put it within images. So we're back at just having a string. So this is images, characters, profiles, and then git.png. Okay, yes. And here I'm gonna do image src. It's also a string. Oh, because I don't have that. Have I forgotten anything? I forgot the about, but that should be, that's done automatically because this is a content collection, and so I have my about is just gonna be given, it's the content of the markdown file, and that's just given by Astro. Okay, now, why have we done all this setup? Because now, when we go back to characters, now we can actually import this collection. Leah says you added about. Where did I add about? What did I do? Where are you? Oh, I added about. You're right. Trivia. Oh no, I did add about. Yeah, I didn't need to. Well, that was gonna yell at me. Thank you. I have completely forgotten I was doing that. Image, likes, dislikes, tropes, and trivia. Image, let me go with likes, dislikes, tropes, and trivia. Okay, so now I did all this setup. This is needed setup, a bit boring, sorry about that. But now the cool part. Now I go here in the characters.astro file, and now I can import the whole collection. So I can do import these methods from Astro content, again, our friend, and then I can do a variable that I'm gonna call data, and this is gonna do get collection and characters. And now data, wait, I think, oh, this is what's called an asynchronous method, which means you need to wait for it to come to you. Again, I should probably do a JavaScript fundamentals, but the way you can think about it is when you call the get collection method, you are going, like Astro is going to go to your folder and it's gonna look at all the files, process them, and so you need to wait for it to finish, and so you will, you await it. Not theoretically 100% correct, but correct enough that, you know, it's a good mnemonic. Again, I think even if you are not like super comfortable with programming, a lot of these is very, it's things that you can really very much copy paste. And so even if you're not super comfortable with JavaScript, as long as you copy the code and like start fiddling with it, it will work out. It will help you get comfortable. Like you can do a lot just doing that. And then, you know, that's the gateway drug to learning how to actually do things. Okay, so now we have data, and we can, let's console.log our data. So I want to show you how what this looks like. So I'm gonna, this character card is not gonna work right now. So I'm gonna save it, gonna reopen my to restart my my local server, and then I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna go to that page and it's going to explode. Why is it going to explode? Because it's telling me that, where are you? Where are the page? There, sorry. I want to show you the explosion. It's like, you can read it, it's telling you, it says, your content entry in front matter does not match your schema. And so it says characters git, front matter does not match the collection schema, image src is required. So if I go to git, here I will see that while I added image src in GitHub, I did not add it to Git. And so now, yes, I also added the Git image to GitHub. Now I can add it here. And now if I haven't done more mistakes, ta-da! It worked. Well, it shows nothing. Now we'll see what it has there. But see, oh, sure, wrong window again. Gonna redo it. I save. I don't have the image src in my markdown file. It yells at me. It says you don't have a property that I am expecting you to have. I add the property, I save, and now it's happy. So you can see how this, like if you're doing things like, a blog post, now you can use something like this and you can make sure that all your blog posts have titles, tags, everything that you might want to have. This can get really as grandiose as you want. There is a lot of ways to configuring schemas. So here, for example, if I wanted to make the image src optional, I could do it in my configuration, and then it will still work if that's not there. But I don't want it optional. I want it to be there. So yeah, that's the general idea of content collections. But here I wanted to show you how the content collection looks when you log it to your terminal. So here on my terminal, let me remove the browser for a second. Here on my terminal, you can see the printing of that variable. And so it is, look, the square brackets, it is an array, and then the curly brackets of objects, which are collections of data. And so it has a slug, which is the name, like a shortening of the markdown file name. Well, it is actually the markdown file name without the MD. It has a body, which is our, like the content of the markdown file. And then it has data, which is the content of the front matter of that file. So you can see you have an image src, you have the likes, an array that don't get printed by default, dislikes, tropes, trivia, and it has also a render function that turns, we'll see it later, it turns the body into HTML if you want to have like markdown, like you can use the markdown shortcuts for bold, blah blah blah, all of that, and that's gonna be there. So yeah, that's content collection. Now we can do the characters card for all the characters in the content collection. So we go here. Let me put the bot again so you can see. And so this is very similar to how we have done it before for like creating one list item element for every items in an array. Again, data is again an array here, so we can do data.map and then character, and what we return here from this inner function is what's going to be displayed by the HTML. Why are you? That's okay. It's what's going to be displayed by the HTML. So here we are going to do return character card, and then we are going to give, oh, because I can't have, I don't need this, okay. And then we're going to just basically redo this. Gonna copy it, but now instead of having all the instead of having this prefixed, we can do character dot data. We do the slug, and then we do to uppercase first. How do I? I'll do it later. I want to make the first how do you call it? The first character uppercase. And I don't remember what the syntax is, but well, I'll think about it more in a second. This is the data of the character, the image src, and then here again character.data.likes, and then I just continue doing this. The about is, I'm gonna just do the body right now. We can do it better later. And then tropes, character.data.tropes, and then trivia. I save this, and now you can see we have both characters. And if we wanted to add yet another character, we would just go here in the characters folder and we would create a new markdown file for whoever. And so basically we have separated the rendering of the content. Like on this page we take all the characters and we display them this way from the definitions of the characters. So now if I want to do a whole new page and so if I want to do a whole new page and I want to add character data on that, I don't need to copy the same information over and over. This confirmation is in my content collection wherever I want my content collection. I just do this await get collection characters and I'm gonna get all the data for it. I can do it in multiple page, with this get entry, I could only get one specific entry, like I can do, just showing you how this would work. I don't need it right now, but I could do get entry, characters, and then, see, it also tells me which ones I have. And I would get the GitHub data. That's it. Like that's how a content collection works. And you can see how you can do this in like so many, like how you can use it in so many different ways. It's extremely powerful and I just love it. Used it on my own blog, which I am moving to Astro. It's not live yet, but I'm using it for my projects. I'm using it for all my social media accounts. I'm using it for my blog posts. And you know, my favorite Astro feature, just, you have no idea how much boilerplate code is it to make this on your own every time, over and over. When you try to build your custom blog, I sound like, you know, I have seen things. I have tried to do this in over the years a bunch of times, and they're just giving it to me, and it's like, thank you Astro. Yeah, and also since I sometimes use terms that people might not know, boilerplate code, it's when you have code that's not doing any special logic, it's just things that you copy and paste over and over because it's needed to do something. It's like not particularly like inspired code. It's just, here is the setup for this. In a way, you can say that like all this config, you know, the define collection bit within the schema is like, that's kind of boilerplate code. But doesn't matter, just something you might encounter. Get entry, we don't need it. So Leah was saying, don't you have to slice the first character and to uppercase and then concat the rest of the string? No, I'm pretty sure there is a method. Oh, come on. I have to Google it. JavaScript first letter uppercase. Thank you. Wait, is that really no way? Come on. I was pretty sure that there was a way. Huh. There isn't. What? What? Really? I guess Leah was right. I had, well, I mean, I don't have to do it often, but I'm like, really? Really, JavaScript? What is this? What is this? Oh my god. Ah, okay, wait. This guy is right. I'm gonna do one better. We're gonna do it with CSS. Let me get our how do you call it? Our card. Card. Where are you, card? Where are you? Okay, sorry. SRC components. There you are. Character card. And then I'm just gonna do our H2. Have the text transform capitalized property. And now git looks uppercase. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was going to say, I think it's easier with CSS. Yeah, no, I mean, it clearly is. I did not remember that JavaScript did not have this. I mean, admittedly, I don't get to do this usually, but also, what? Okay, you know, sometimes JavaScript is like that. It took a while to get a method that would replace all the occurrences of a characters in a string instead of having to do like continue replacing until you don't find it anymore. It's a beautiful language with some serious problems sometimes. Alan was saying, I actually didn't know if you meant that you were going to write CSS code or if you were going to test it out with CSS characters card. I was writing CSS code, but that was a fun thing. And then Leah says you can just H3 first letter. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. There are selectors for first letters now. Okay. So we have the final content collection. I think we are still missing the. Oh no, we have the about him, and here is the about him of GitHub. And as you can see, while in this markdown file, this about him is in 2 lines. Here is all squished together. And if you here scratch I'm gonna put a strike I'm gonna put a strike HTML tag, which is valid markdown here. And you can see now that if I go to the browser, it's literally just putting the text. And that's not what we want. We want the actual rendered markdown. So we'll do that in a second. Leah was saying the character card does not have a trivia title. You are very right. Trivia. And then I'm gonna put the trivia there. Okay, now it has it. But yeah, we still have that problem. So let's go fix that problem. Let's go actually get the markdown. So to do this, we can use that render method that we saw before. So if I do const, let's say, rendered body. So character as a render. function, which I can call, and I think this needs, this is, oh, sorry. Okay. I have it. Let's go back. Const that will do a render body, and then I'm gonna do character dot render function here, and if you look at render, it says here that it's a promise, which means it basically is promising to give it to you at some point if you wait, and so we put a wait first, which you can't do because it has to be an async function. Sorry. Okay. Yes. So again, if you can when you see something that is a promise, you can await it, because it's like, I'll promise you to give it to you at some point. So if you wait, so you wait. And the other tricky thing that sometimes people get caught into when this happens is that you need to add this async keyword to your functions when doing this, because it's just saying this function is going to wait. And so now if I console.log render body, I can see what's that gonna look like. So again, my on my terminal here is the here is like what's within render. There is content, which is just you can see from the capital C here. If you remember, we said a bunch of times that if you see a capital letter, that usually means that it is a component, as you can also surmise from this isastro component factory being true. So content is a component here, and so I can go back to the characters.astro now, and I'm gonna use this component as our about, pass this to about. I don't know that I can do it this way, but I think so. Rendered body.content. There. An error occurred. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, I flew too close to the sun, right? Yes. Okay. I cannot do it that way. But I wanted to. Let me see, how did I define character card? I hate it because it let me do it, and I was like, oh yeah, something cool. React lets me do it. Before we move forward, I just wanna actually display that content just to make sure that we are doing it right. So I'm gonna put it before the card here, and because you can only return, at least I think you can in Astro too, I know it's like this in React, you can only return one single element. So if you want to return something from a function, you have to wrap it into something. And so now I'm returning both this render content and this character card. Okay, and so you can see here, browser time, see here that now the HTML has been actually HTML'd. And so if I go to github.md and I make corrupted be bold, for example, yeah, see, I can use all the cool markdown things. I can do list. Yeah, see, it's just markdown. You can just use it there. You can use it to alter your blog post. You can use it like we're doing here to have a section that has like multiple paragraphs and so on. But now oh, this was the markdown altering. I was confused about what we were doing. Yes, look, if I gonna reput the markdown again. So what I'm showing you is the difference between when you are like in the, when you do the body of like a element on a content collection, or you render it and then use the content as returned by the render function. And if you look at the body that we are putting in, if you look at the body that we're putting here in the about him, you can see that it's actually just the text. It's actually just the text as it appears in the markdown. But when above here we have the actual render component, this has become HTML. It is the markdown transformation of the HTML file. And yeah, but now we have to pass this content in the right way, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. Ellen is saying that's awesome. It really is, isn't it great? Like, it's so easy to just have your markdown files just there, you know. It's all, you know, there wasn't a lot of setup I did. Yeah, you know, like you need to look at you need to kind of like figure out a bit how to write this schema, and like the schema might be a bit confusing if you're a beginner. But let me link to Zod's documentation. Where are you, Zod? I know I saved you. There. Linking to it. If you look at that, that's basically showing you all the different types of where are you? It's showing you all the different types of data that you can have. String, numbers, booleans for true or false. You can even have a date. I'm pretty sure if you go to string, it has like, you can say, oh, I don't want this to be more than 5 characters long. I want this string to be formatted like an email. I want a URL. You can even say an emoji. You can do so much. You can do a regex. You can actually transform it to lowercase or uppercase, and remove the white space. This all happens automatically. You just define it here. For example, let's see if I do to uppercase on the trivia, I guess. Now, when I go back to my character card, here, I added this to uppercase. If I go back to my character card, see how trivia is like now yelling. It's fantastic. It's great. You can even do things like, when you have a race, you can tell it that you want it to be a special length there. So for example, now we could do something like, here I want the likes array to always be 3 elements. This is what we have. Now we save it and it's gonna be happy. Where are you? There. But now I add a 4th like to Git. What does Git also like? Hot tub streaming. I don't know. And now it's yelling at me because it's saying, as you see in the browser, it's saying array must contain 3 elements. Likes array must contain 3 elements. And like, how do you use this? I don't know. Like here we can use it because we can make assumptions about like our component that's going to tell us, maybe you can do something like, this isn't, the way we display it isn't gonna work if someone adds more than 3 elements. And so we want to be able to catch this before we publish the code. But yeah, that's one way you can use it. But it's so powerful, it's so good. Let me remove the length tree. And okay, the last thing I want to do before we move to something else is just allow to pass this rendered content to the character card. And the easiest way I can think of doing this is to turn this character card, let it have a slot. So, show you. I can make this character card from a self-causing tag to something you can put things into. So yeah, right now there is kind of like putting a HTML element within a HTML element. You have this render body.content is now a child of character card. And like, where are you? So now and I can, well, I need to remove the about from here. About, remove it from here, and let me comment this. So now about is gone, and I want to display instead the child, which in Astro you do by using the slot element, right? Yes, here it is, here it is. Now that I've done the slot element is just a special element in Astro component that basically says render whatever is the child of this element. So I put this content underneath character card, and then I put a slot, and that's rendering it now. You go to the browser, here it is, about him, and it has all our syntax. Something using the slot BL joke, yes. And that's it. Now we can use Markdown in here and have it displayed correctly. Okay, so that's our start of making cards. I think it's time we commit. So going back to the browser, sorry, go back to VS Code. Let's do some commits. Okay, what do we have in our status? We have made quite a lot of changes. We have made changes we moved all the images in character, like under the public folder, because I don't know exactly how you can do it, like importing them the way I usually do with just markdown files in Astro. I don't think you can. So easy solution, move everything to public. Let's do that change. No, actually we can't do that change on its own, because that's gonna be bad for our characters page, because then it's not gonna have their images. So let's say we want to first just do our new content folder. What is this? Oh, that's, I'll talk about this in a second. So we want to update to other content folder. So I just git add the folder itself, and now in git status I'm finding all the files within that folder. So config characters markdown, and then I commit with created content collection for characters. And then now I have more things. I can do all the images, added character profiles to public folder. It's going bit by bit. And then I am going to do everything, but I am going to restore this srcm because I don't want to add it to this commit. And this commit is gonna be use content collections in Astro character cards. And that's it. And now just to explain this m.d.ts file that has been modified, this used to have only this reference Astro client, and it now has also this astrotypes.d.ts, which I suspect is what made our import when we did you remember I had to rebuild because we are like I had to rebuild when we added the Astro collection import. I suspect when I rebuilt it updated this file, and that's what it's using to just know that that's a thing that exists. So I'm gonna just add it and say Astro update to end. Oh, one thing I wanna actually show you. I don't know if we're gonna get to the credits this time, but I want to show you how this looks when built, because that's also something that's important. So now we have built. So in these folders we have all the pages. So if we go to index.html here, this is the index.html that's in the that you would upload to your own website. You see, that's like, this is our GitHub section. It doesn't have Markdown, it doesn't have JavaScript, it doesn't have anything. It's straight up the rendered HTML. So you, by doing any of this, you aren't really even, after you've built your website, you aren't like making it more heavy for like users. Like you're like, oh, but maybe if I do this, then the user computer will have to parse the Markdown and look at all the JavaScript code and execute it. And it's not like that. Astro is a static site generator, so unless you do, unless you build things to work that way, to use JavaScript as runtime, when the website is going to be rendered, Astro will do all the calculations for you at the moment you build your website, and then we'll put straight up HTML there. So here, this is HTML. There is nothing. It's as if you had written this by hand, but you didn't. Okay, I actually forgot to stop and ask if there were questions. So are there any questions? In the meantime, I'll plot more things. Gonna look at the characters card as we add them. Give just a couple seconds for people to think. And drink water. Okay, seems like there aren't particular questions, so let's do the artist credit bit next time. But because it's been 2 hours and I can go on, but this is a lot of knowledge I'm showing in your brains just one time. I want to do one last thing. Want to show you just two more things about content collection. So one thing is, you might remember that our characters are divided into factions. The localhost characters, which are the ones that live on your computer, so Git, GitHub, and Terminal, and the browserland characters, which are the ones that live in the browser, so HTML, CSS, and ARIA. We don't really show it in these cards, but except for the fact that they have either the localhost symbol, which is the terminal, or the browser here next to their name. So let's let's show you how you can how we can do something like, oh, I want this bit in my content collection, I want this property to be one of these two values, none more, only those two values are good. If it's not either of those two values, explode. So let's do that. So with config, now we have, how are we gonna call this? Group? I don't know. Home. And then we can do enum. That's what it's called. Enum is like, oh, switch window. Okay. I've done it. We were saying. Also, Ellen says, I feel like any question I have would be from going through it, so I'm good for now. Yes, please go through it. Let me know if you need anything. We're a bit bad about looking at the FujoGuide's socials enough. You can probably find my socials in the link down there. If you ever need help and you don't know how to reach me from anywhere else, please write me somewhere. Like, yell in the ether of socials and I will find you. And then, like, we will have hopefully better organization and better way to ask questions with time. Anyway, I was saying, so we are gonna call this home, and we are going to do what's called an enum. Let me check the syntax. Yes, so an enum is a programming concept which is just a series of possible values and not more than those. So it really restricts just the amount of values you can have. So when you have a string, the string can be any value that is text. But when you have an enum of strings, the enum is going to be like, you can have either this text or this text. If I were doing a computer science exam, I might have thoughts on this definition, but it's good enough. So enum, we want localhost and we want browser land. This is our enums, and now if we go back to our website, it's gonna tell us front matter does not match collection schema because we have now added home and we don't have it. Let's make it optional just so I can add it only to one single character, and then we can see. So here I'm gonna add home, and it doesn't matter the order you write this front matter in, just so you know. And here I'm gonna do localhost, and this should work, all fine. But if I add more, now it should yell at me. Ta-da! See, now, where are you, browser? Home invalid enum value, expected either localhost and browser land, but instead I received this abomination. Yeah, that's it. So that's what I was talking about earlier when I was saying maybe you have a blog and your posts have categories and you want to be like, it's either, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, what could it be? Projects, thoughts, recipes, I don't know. The word is your oyster. And yeah, you can just write them there. And so if one day you create a type of post that is and for a category you don't have, you will know, and then you can choose to add it, but you will know that it's happening, and knowing is like half the battle. But I think what this is, to be honest, what this is most useful for is typos, because you know, yeah, you have a project and then you write, I don't know, you know, project, and now you have created a whole other category on your website, like a whole new set of pages or like tags, or like in your sidebar now there is a new category project, and it just looks bad. You know, why would you do that? Like, you know, that's not going to be great. That's not something you meant to do. But if you're using an enum here, and if you have this type of check, this just solves the problem. You can still make mistakes, but you'll make different mistakes. So I added this to GitHub too, and now I can remove the optional. And it's not yelling. And I'm gonna save and say added a home to character schema. I'm not updating really the display, because we don't really have a display for the home property right now. I can add a class, for example. That would be a good way of doing it. And I think the last thing I want to do is very last thing, I swear. I'll let you go and absorb this and try it, and then we'll do it more of this next time. So it has had some time to marinate for questions and all that, and you know, repetition is good. So one thing I wanted to do is, you can see Git here. If you look at this character card, oh wow, I hate you. Kickstarter, terrible, just design. Anyway, I was making this bigger. It has actually some special formatting for his how do you call it, for his about him. Yes, like whenever we say localhost HQ, we do that with a code tag, so it looks like code. It's a monospace font, that's what I meant to say. And we also have the 10,010 in programming years joke here, using the same thing. So I want to add that bit in. And the reason I wanted to show you this is, let me see, trying to decide what's better. I'm gonna make this bigger so you can see better how the code changes, but you can also see me write. So here, as you can see, there is no monospace font. It's not actually written in code. So I can go to the markdown file here, and I can just write it this way, and then it should render it. Do you not? Let me see the HTML. Okay, it renders it, but we do not have any CSS for this. 1 second. Where are you? Page layout as all our global code. So I'm gonna add this. Okay, now it is actually in. You can see it is in code, right? So that's not much different from what we did until now. But one thing I want to do is, I want this trivia now to have the same property, you know. And so I can start with like HTML. So now I added a code tag there, and I save it. And now if we go look at trivia, well, that didn't really work, because it's just showing code, it's just showing the text. It does not realize it's HTML. But there is one way of making it work. So if we go back to our character card, we can go to our trivia, and then here, let's put this in a paragraph. And now, what is happening here? So what's happening is that Astro is interpreting this trivia, passing this trivia component variable here, it's interpreting it as text, not as HTML. And it's doing this because it's a good safety feature for you. You don't want to accidentally display HTML that is in a variable as HTML, because that could be an attack vector if if you have content that's like someone can make a post, a comment on your blog, you want to make sure that that content is displayed as text, not as HTML, because if it's displayed as HTML, not great. They can write a script and execute arbitrary JavaScript on the page. It's just not how it's usually done. But we want to instead have this interpreted as HTML. And it's fine that we do that because we are the ones writing the markdown. So it's not just something that anyone can come and write. So it's fine to do it. And we can do this to Astro special tag called setHTML. And if we pass our trivia variables to setHTML instead of to the paragraph, now that is actually interpreted as HTML. Sorry, Ellen was asking, so it's converting it to an HTML entity? I'm not sure I understand that question, but is that an example of sanitizing inputs? Yes, the way Astro does it, if you just put the variables in parentheses, I guess it sanitizes the input for you. Well, okay, now we go into the terminology kind of discussions that don't really matter, but it is just displaying every character as text. So you know how when you want to display like an opening bracket or a closing angular brackets, you have to do the and LGT character, HTML character. It's doing that for you, which I do guess it's sanitization. I would have said it's encoding the characters, but no, that's sanitization. Yeah, it's doing the HTML entities. Yeah. And so this way it's like, no, I know what I'm doing. Set this HTML. So this is this can be useful if you do want to use HTML in your front matter. But one more thing that I want to do, what if we want to use Markdown in our front matter? So I want to be able to do this. Obviously this doesn't work because it's just gonna do that. But if we go here to character card, we can tell it that it's marked, we can actually parse the markdown ourselves. The way to do this, I've saved the link because Astro has a page where it tells you how to do this, and it suggests this library. Just copying it in the chat and then go to it to show it to you. That's the page. Going to the browser. This is just a regular library that allows you to parse Markdown. And here you can see how to install it. Mark this the name. And then let's do it. Let's show how we can just parse this Markdown. Sorry, I am having a moment. What were we doing? Yes, we were parsing the Markdown. So first thing I want to do is I want to install the library, and so we do yarn art, and that's installing the library. And then now that I have installed the library, let me go to my let's see, my component. We can do it in two different ways. We can do it within the characters here, or we can do it within the character card components. I'm just gonna do it in characters, and so here I'm gonna import. Oh, let me do them all at the same place. Import. I think it's called parse from marked. Okay. And then here, let me remove this console.log. And here in trivia, I am going to do, let me double check the documentation. Here it says, actually, I'm just gonna import the whole library marked. And then here in trivia, I'm gonna do marked.parse character data trivia. And now, if I have done this right, wait. Well, first of all, I need to restart my developer environment. I try not to install things while the development environment is going, because sometimes it makes things weird. So now if I save and I haven't done mistakes, this one, the 10,010 should turn into code. There. Let me get the color of code just different so you can see what's a good color. Fujo red. Yeah, see? Now the that has been interpreted as markdown. So this allows you, if you want to have some of your front matter be interpreted as markdown, this is the way. And then interpret trivia as markdown. And that is all, I think. Yeah, you know, sky's the limit. I think for the like from here next time I would like to sorry, 1 second. Next time I would like to show how we can add the artists to each card, the artists that have created the special characters, and we can do another content collection for all the artists, and then I can show you how to reference that content collection from within the character card, so that it will yell at us if we invent a new artist that we don't have data for. I think, you know, once we are done with these cards, I would also like to start publishing updates about our zines and about everything to our website. And so my idea would be to start showing how you can use content collections to make a blog, like an actual blog, with tags, with everything, with search, all the cool things, and with an RSS feed, which I'm pretty sure Astro has like very good support to just like have it done. And yeah, any question before I close this? Sorry, Leah's saying we should use that to link the TV tropes pages for their trope eventually. The markdown. I mean, we could. I feel like the better way to do that would be to have, like, I'm thinking, because I'm kind of thinking, well, can we have, okay, let me get you my thought. We can do that, but what we lose is if we forget to link, there is no way for Astro to tell us, hey, actually all the tropes are supposed to have a URL. And I think what we can do is something like turn this from a string into an object, and then you can do name fake queuing, and then URL http whatever.com. I hate and so now, well, it's gonna yell at us because we don't have it, but now we have a object that can be either like the name or the name and the URL, and you can express this with Dot. Let me try it. So you can do what's called a union, and so this would be, you can pass a series of, what do you want? Oh, it has to be an array. And this is the union. It's basically just one of these I'm gonna give you the, I'm gonna do it and then I'm gonna explain it. And now it should work. Yes. So you can do something like, okay, so now tropes is either the name, either a string, just the text, or an object that has a name and a URL. And so here is what I expressed. Let's say tropes is the union of either a string or an object with two elements, a name, that's also a string, and a URL. And then you can go to say string URL, and it will yell at you if it's not a URL. Let me try. Ta-da! Look at this! It makes me so happy. It makes me like so happy. It's so good. It's so good. I think it might have started now yelling at us because you're yelling at, why aren't you yelling at me? You should be yelling at me. Because tropes is now correctly typed as either a string or the object, but it's not typed that way here. It's just a string array. Sorry. If I build, will you be mad at me? I am mad when things are mad at me. Okay, that's a different error. Oh, now it's yelling at me. It just had a moment. Yeah, now it's saying, "Hey, what is going on? This is not what we talked about." And then if we do, I was like, "I'm finished," and then I got nerd sniped. Come on, come on, come on. Let me copy this. And now here is gonna, oh well, it's just displaying it. And then we'll continue from here. I think the other error that's giving me is that it doesn't want me to, where are you? In characters.astro doesn't want me to just do this, it wants me to import parts directly. Like, fine. Okay, now it works. But yeah. Leo was saying it had to think about it. It really had to think about it. And you know, once again, I've built this, and if we go to the characters page, it should have removed it should have just have the markdown, the HTML there in the Git part. Where are you? Yeah, likes, dislikes about him. Trivia. Not the tropes, which is now a bit weird. and now here it has code. So again, it's just doing this when you build. It's not doing this when the user looks at your like downloads your page. This is like, it's exactly as if you had written it by hand. Ellen says, thank you for this and have a great rest of your evening. Likewise, thank you for coming. This was, I hope it was as fun for you as it was for me. I just love content collection. I'm so happy I got to share them. I understand that this may be a lot to take in all in one time, but let's meet here in another couple weeks, and let's go through them again and more until they stick. Okay? And I guess I have said enough that I need to do a stream about like just explaining a little bit of JavaScript and TypeScript, that I will probably organize it, but at some point. But first, yeah, let's continue with this. Sounds good? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you.